Okay. 3, 2, 1. Going live. It says we're streaming on Facebook, so we'll watch it show up on my other screen and we should be good to go. So once again, this is Thursday at 3 p.m. Mountain Time, and I've got the lovely Anya down on the bottom. Hopefully it shows up that way for everybody else. And we have the lovely Patrick over on the other side with the wooden facade behind him, and myself, Paul Hanrieder. So what we wanted to come here and talk about is all three of us have been beat to hell over the last several days. Some really big lows, more lows than I've ever felt in my ascensioning journey or awakening process. It just kind of kicked the hell out of me, made me exhausted, made me want to not be here for a while. And I think that's going on for a lot of people. So we wanted to talk a little bit about our experiences, what we see coming forward, and just normalizing it for everyone so that they don't think they're alone and that things are crazy or that they're dying or whatever story inserted here that the world's telling you. There are lots of people that are going through the exact same things right now. It's not fun, but it's getting ourselves back, and it's creating a new us. There's new DNA changes that are going on in our bodies. There's new energetic changes. There's stuff happening in the world that we can't even possibly understand right now. And we're just holding the collective energy and grounding all that so that something bigger and better can come in. So it's not hurting us or killing us. It's just basically is, and it's part of being. And we really need to rest and relax over this Easter weekend and just pull in those energies and ask for better and create a new reality where it doesn't contain things like COVID and masks and anger and frustration and dissonance. Bring in energies of love and rebirth and resurrection to a new higher light. So that's a little bit of what's been going on for me. I'll let you guys choose who goes to first, or unless you want me to spin the bottle. Who's got a raging thing to start?
Patrick.
Nothing. I'll go. The energies have been absolutely crazy. Just on top of me still having everything in transition. A lot of my life is up in the air right now. I'm finally moving on Monday into my new place. It's really pushed me it's made it so much harder. It's like a lot of the old world stuff just keeps piling on, and it's just forcing me to go within and find my energy and to just push it out and pull it away and stuff. And my parents live on their cottage lake, and their house that they built on the south end of it. It's really nice here, but it's so noisy for me, at least, because there's other couple of people around in the house, people next door, plus all the energy. So I went up to the north end of the lake where their cottage is, and it's all cottages there, so it's completely empty. So there's no people for miles, there's no energy, and I finally was able to unwind for 3 hours yesterday when I was there, because it's just me and nature and my dog and nothing else. And
are you gonna have
it really helped. I'm gonna be going there on Sunday for as much time as I can to get away from it all. I cannot wait to finally get settled in my own place and get all of my crystals and energies and everything to have my happy, comfortable place again, because it's rough.
Mm-hmm. What kind of symptoms have you been feeling this week?
Horrible sleep patterns. We did that video on Monday. I think I slept 3 hours. I was awake all night and all morning, and I finally slept from noon until 3 p.m. And then it's just been the last couple of days since then. It's been like 5 hours here, 5 hours here. I think I had 6 last night, and it's pushed me. Everybody has their place that they retreat to. So for me, because I grew up a computer gamer, I'm back into my gaming, just being away from all the world, and just that's my escape from it, basically. So
what kind
of it doesn't really escape from it because it's an old habit. So you're not really doing good stuff for you. Like when I force myself to meditate and get out of nature and do those new things, that is actually what feels better. But because of all the energies and the place that I'm in and all the energies that are around me, I'm just caving in for the experience and stuff, right? So it's been interesting.
that's how my son copes full time. He plays Modern Warfare and all these things, and it just gets his mind out of the body and all the shit that's going on, so that it just kind of distracts you, so that you're not feeling so intensely what's going on. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's just really big and really hard, whether you like it or not. So those things that you may judge yourself about are actually a good thing, because it gets your mind out of the mix for me.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Because you can spend all your time taking all these challenges and everything is tests and just, oh yeah, I'm amazing on this light work, blah, blah. But you know what? It feels good to retreat and just to have your little things that you'd like to do and stuff to escape from distractions and whatnot. Because the world is crazy, and it's going to be getting crazier because it needs to wake everybody up. So we have to find our outlets and distractions and things to keep everything in balance. So
Absolutely.
I'm all for computer games. I love playing Roller Coaster Tycoon, the original version that I played since I was 10 years old. So I
Nice.
totally get in that same zone where I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself, but I'm just going to tap into 10-year-old Anya, because that is my happy place, and I will build a fucking roller coaster park.
Nice. Yeah, I've been working on my base in Fallout 4. We're the end of the world after a nuclear apocalypse. So, you know.
Perfect. How fitting.
Right, exactly.
I don't think you're really escaping.
I'm just
Another good one, like,
planning for the future, right?
you know, another good one like Roller Coaster Tycoon was Train Tycoon. I don't know if you can still get it.
No, I didn't play that.
These trains and rail stations and buses and get all the people moved around and all the ore.
Well, those games are great because it brings out the creator that's in all of us, right? We want to make that and all that stuff, and so we all have that aspect in us. And then we just have all different outlets on what we do with that creator energy through our lives.
Yes, exactly.
SimCity, the first 3 of them were awesome. After that, it got so complicated. And
I loved SimCity.
there you go.
Ooh, I'm gonna download
Right.
that next.
SimCity is awesome. I played them 10 or 15 years ago now, but it's awesome. I love it.
I'm gonna download that after our talk. Now I'm definitely not gonna exist. I'm just gonna be playing all the time. I'm gonna be like, I can't make it today, guys. I have to build the city.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a great game for sure.
For me, I've been sleeping more, and I've been allowing myself to sleep more. Like, I've built this discipline to wake up at 5:55, but this week I just let it all go, and I just like let myself wake up naturally when my body needed to. So I've been cashing in like 10 hours of sleep each night. Sorry, not to rub it in.
Nice.
Why?
That's good though. What's wrong with that? If your body's tired, it's tired. You gotta that's one thing I've been off since I left that whole scheduled work environment. I don't set my alarms for anything. I wake up when I'm not tired anymore. Like, why would I keep myself on that schedule? That's not what I desire. I would rather just do what I do, live in the moment, and do what I feel like. So
yeah.
Cool. What about routines in the morning that ground you, or those kind of things? What stuff that you guys are using to get you into the world in the morning?
I'm so out of my routine right now. Honestly, I don't have any. Everything's kind of up in the air. That's why it's so hard to focus. Everything's so chaotic and changing.
Definitely meditate, even if it's a short 10-minute. And I do rapid breath work. It's called Ananda Mandala. So good. But it's like super rapid breathing where you breathe in slower and breathe out quicker.
Okay.
It's like a YouTube guided session. So I do that every single morning. And then just like remind you I write things down for the week, just reminders like be present this week or channel mojo energy or something like that. And so I just kind of remind myself like the creators that we are, and tapping into that.
Yep. Good.
You?
I'm gonna go with a little side story, but I don't know. I got back into my inner child, and I love frosted flakes. So it's corn flakes with the frosting on them, and about a third of a bowl of milk, so that it's still crunchy, but you get the. Do you guys actually know why cornflakes are actually developed? There was a guy, J.M. Kellogg or whatever. He was a religious guy, and he actually invented cornflakes as a substitute for masturbation, because the
What?
texture and the crunch and all this kind of stuff was a sensual explosion. You can look it up. It's a real thing on Facebook. But he had this like health farm or whatever that you go to, and they fill you up with yogurt from the back end and clean you all out, and you'd eat your cornflakes so you didn't touch yourself, and sexuality was a bad thing.
Wow.
But it goes into the sensuality. Like, who would make a cornflake like that? It's very crispy and crunchy, and it has lots of texture. And it's magic in my mouth. You wouldn't quite say it's a substitute for those things, but it's just a little fact that maybe you didn't know. So
nice.
I started drinking kefir. I don't know if you guys are familiar. It's
yeah, that's that probiotic.
Yes, it's like probiotic on like level 10, and I felt level 10.
Nice.
I was like, I can't drink this. Like, I needed like long gaps in between. My stomach was literally like, it felt like there was like wrestling going on with all the bacteria in my gut. Like, I felt it, and I'm like, oh dear.
Is that like a gurgling sensation? Or
Yeah.
That's why I put a lot of fermented foods in my smoothie and stuff, which gives you the probiotics too. Yeah, you want the pro and pre, or that's prebiotics. Sorry, you want both pre and pro.
Yeah, flaxseed and protein powder and some strawberries and I like apple juice. That can be amazing for breakfast.
Shout out to April 1st, by the way. We are April 1st.
Woo!
Yeah. Yes, and nature is definitely giving us our April Fool's joke. It's been warm and springy here, and now today it's freezing and below freezing. It's -11 Celsius tonight. Super windy. It feels like January again.
Well, no April Fools on this broadcast. We're after lunch, or my son said he couldn't even turn on Facebook anymore because it was just full of bullshit.
Really?
Today, so run and hide. Okay, so energies. What are you guys seeing for the future? Like, maybe just talk about why you feel you've done all this work and what's to come, and how you've changed and how you can see the world differently, maybe a little bit, just so that other people can understand that there's a reason for all this stuff and it's not just self-torture. And
well, we've done all this work because that's kind of the progress. Like, if you imagine the entire humanity with everybody along in different stages and stuff, and so we're kind of over here, there's people ahead of us, there's people that are behind us, and we're just going and moving everything along. So we're going to move here, and then these guys move here, and then the guys ahead of us move ahead. We're basically clearing an energetic space for everybody that has a lower level of awareness and still is an illusion behind it, so that they can go through and they can have more support, and everything becomes easier for them, because when they wake up and they start feeling all these random and weird things that we've all gone through, there's going to be so many more people that they can turn to, or that weird person that they cut out of their life when they weren't ready to hear it. They're like, okay, well, maybe I'm going to get back in touch with this person because he might know what's going on. And so that's why, we're kind of ahead of the curve, but that it needs to be, right? Because everybody's got to be at some place on the stage, this world stage, and it's just how the water flows, I guess, to say.
The picture I see is we are the ones that walked along with Christopher Columbus, and we came on the ships, and there was no ports, there was no cities, there was no whatever. There might be some tribes mixed in there, but we came with our blazing axes and our canteen and a tent, and we kind of figured out what's safe and where we should go, and found some flat spots, and we're going to kind of give direction to people. Doesn't make us better, it just makes us have a different skill set than anybody else. And we're going to keep the lions and tigers and all those things away because we chose safe spots in trees or in the canyon or whatever, because we went and found out. It's like, holy shit, Patrick's buddy just got eaten by a lion, we're not going to do that again. Because you learn by your
mistakes. We're all ascension pioneers, right?
Oh yeah.
So, and some people don't like to live that much by their pants, seat of their pants. So we're not better. We're not in some level different than other people. We're just way shores. We're the guys along the marathon of life that says, go the left path because the right path has the bridge out, right? And we could only find that by going down the path with the bridge out.
Right, and we're just speaking our truth. You don't, if it resonates, great. If it doesn't, move on. Like, there's no need.
And we've only got a version of the way it can go. You can take 9,000 steps left and sideways and take 10 years getting to the same place. Or you can say, hey, you've done this before. Can you give me a few pointers or an idea? And we'd be happier than hell to do that. So just keep that in mind. And that's what we're doing here. We're giving an alternate version of reality, stuff that we figured out, good or bad. And it may be different. It may scare the hell out of you, but it's a new way that's different, that may not have some of the old shit still trapped in it. And that's cool. I don't know. I'd buy the guidebook. Once I know what I've been through, I'd pay anything for the guidebook, even if it was $1,000. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars over years trying to get courses and go to workshops and travel all over the places. And if somebody said, here's the guidebook, and this is going to make your life so much easier, I'd sit down with the guy for 15 minutes and give him $1,000. And not that I'm saying do that for us or whatever, but it would have saved me $100 of chasing around and trying to figure it out all by myself. So that's what we're doing, is we're giving a lot of ways, the nickel tour of what blew up in our face and what blew up in your face. And my fullest intention is just to help people not struggle anymore, because I struggled to the fucking ground. I've laid in pools of my vomit. I've laid in just wanting to die. And I don't want that for anybody. And everybody's part of me. We're all part of God and part of this universe. So anything that I can offer to help people is what I do. And sometimes we have to honor ourselves and boundaries if we're doing one-on-ones with people or whatever. Sometimes you charge money for that because there's a value to that. And that's what we're growing out of, is sacrificing ourselves and giving all the time and not being respected. But we got to get paid, and we got to feed our kids, and we got to have a car and a house and all those things to go along. Go ahead.
Exactly. Until the world sorts out its economics and makes everything a lot more fair, we still got to eat. So
absolutely. So
it's
we're learning. We're not rich people, I'll tell you that much for sure.
We are rich people. We are blessed.
We're not swimming in money at this very moment, but
yes, we are
embodying a choice.
We're rich in many other things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. We're very wealthy people, just not in world money.
Yep. Or what do you call it? Status or any of those kind of words, right? So
well, we have wisdom and experience and enlightenment and all kinds of other things that matter, but that currently aren't worth tons of money in our world. So absolutely. But they should be.
We're the crazy shamans that live on the edge of town that have some insight and can talk to the spirits. And you come and bring a couple chickens and a new chair, and we're all good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You need some chickens. Your dad will love that.
Yeah. Chickens will mess things up, but chickens are a good symbol. I was just gonna add on that we're like becoming these anchor points, and just like, we are the ones that are holding in more light, so that could be rippled out to the other partner people energies or whatever. But what was I gonna say? It's like we had to undo all of this to get back to who we truly are, and to really go down the true path that our soul mapped out for us, in a sense. So it's like we have to undo all of this gritty, yucky stuff, and so we could fully now start walking that path that is true for us, and being leaders and stuff, and just shining that light for other people.
Have you had people show up in your life that are starting to notice your light and just comment like, holy cow, something's different?
Yeah, I have friends that I've been friends with for a long while that I see every now and again, and they're like, holy crap, your energy. Or even just strangers. So cool.
Yeah, same thing. It's easy with random people, and My own family knows I'm different. Like Monday and Thursday, my stepdad always teased me. So, how was your video? Did you guys save the world again today? Like, because
Damn right we did.
Right? Like, I've told them the parts that we're all playing and we're all helping change the world, and they take it in their way with what they know in the box that they live in, right? So they all do everything from the heart. They're just operating at a different level of awareness. So
Yeah.
Yep. And we all have those people surrounding us everywhere.
exactly. And you don't want to judge them, just respect them. They're going to respect you. They don't judge me. If I put myself in their shoes, I'm probably living a really weird out there life compared to them in the box that they live in. But they don't judge me for it. So why would I judge them for that?
Absolutely.
You know, I know at the end of the day, when you focus on the big picture, we're all going to go where we are and further. But this is where we are now. This is what all our journeys are about. We're walking the path to go from the old now moment to that new now moment, to go from the world of illusion and fear, and basically when Earth was a prison and energetically isolated from the entire galaxy and universe because of the dark energies we were emanating, to being reconnected to everything, to being all one is all. They're reconnecting all of our planet back to the whole galaxy because we're putting out more energies. Because from what I've understood and learned, the chakra system that we have in our bodies is the same out in space. Earth is the solar plexus chakra of our galaxy. And if you know what the solar plexus does in our body, that's why this planet is so important and why we've been so energetically isolated from the rest of the world. So we didn't spread all of our shit and bring them all down, because we can. That's our role. So as we rise up, we're affecting the entire galaxy. That's how important we are. And we need to remember that.
Yeah, I agree. We've been kind of quarantined, and the aliens all rolled up their windows as they drove by our neighborhood.
Exactly. Like, oh, we're going through the ghetto, kids. Roll your windows up.
Well, darkness was explored to its depth in this universe.
Well, exactly. It was meant to be, because Earth had been given paradise in Eden 3 or 4 times, and every time human curiosity, which is part of our species since the beginning, oh, well, let's explore this. And then we would do our descent into darkness until something would happen. And so this time they did it backwards. Fine, you want darkness? Have all the fucking darkness you can handle, right until you can't stand it anymore. And now we're going back, but now we're going to appreciate that.
Yes.
Because we're going to earn it for ourselves. It's not going to be given to us. We're going to claw our way there energetically and do it ourselves.
I think it's really important for people to understand the depth of all the measures that have been taken to numb us, like to the point of like 5G towers, and our radio and our music is all superimposed to different frequencies, like we were talking about, and your cell phone's doing stuff to you, and there's stuff in the food, and there's stuff in the air, and chemtrails,
and the water.
So if you've made it this far, and even you're just the slightest bit woken up, you have triumphed over a massive amount of stuff. GMOs, all these things in our food, and parasites, and teaching about religion and sexuality, and all these things that conflict us and make it impossible to have pleasure in our life, impossible to have connection with another person. And no wonder everybody's just like whimpering in the corner, all curled up and just not sure, because everything but the kitchen sink was thrown at us. And it's to the point now when these things they're going to stick in your arm, they're filled with like nanoparticles and all these other things that basically turn off your ability to say no, or different things, because there was no other choice. They know they've lost, and they're trying everything in their power to stop this awakening tidal wave, whatever you want to call it. And we're at the very summit point, and that tidal wave is going to crash in, and things are going to change. It was to the point that almost everything in our government, everything in our laws, every leader, anybody in power was controlled by this darkness in some way, shape, or form. And people might be scared to hear all this kind of stuff. It's all going to come out very soon. But how much of that stuff has happened? How many people have you seen that got sued or different things, and the good guy was losing, and all
And
these
all the
bigger,
CEOs that have dropped and left these big companies over
Yes.
the last couple of years, like tons of them, like that means something.
Mm-hmm.
if you look, there's something like 2 or 3,000. There's a resignations.org or something site, and massive corporation people have all had their CEOs disappear in the last 3 to 4 years. And
Right. And when you get to that position where your whole life is about power and money and control, you don't walk away from that for no reason. So look into why.
pressure was put on them for other reasons, like shit, when their lies start to come out.
Exactly. Like leave, or we're going to let the world know what you are.
Mhm. And when people
Like,
start to
it's
understand,
just
like
crazy.
other things like our tax systems in most countries, in Canada and in the US, all the taxes that you paid didn't actually go to our government. They went to the Bank of England. From the very beginning, the Federal Reserve Bank in the US was part of the Bank of England. It was a separate company. And we're all talking like these guys are making decisions as the government. The presidents and the leaders didn't have any control over any of this stuff. So now you start understanding. If you do the math on the amount of income taxes that are collected in both Canada and the US, only like 10% of it was ever sent back to the government. So somebody adjusted the systems to keep you in slavery and keep you in debt and keep you just on the edge. And then $34 quadrillion is sitting in a bank account somewhere. That's 34 with 30 zeros after it.
Well, plus there's a million different other ops, black ops and shadow organizations and all these 3-letter organizations and everything. And everything's overpriced too, right? Like, if you got into the money and stuff and you got to people, if you're an independent business, if you get a government contract, you're set, because you're going to be able to charge a lot of money and you're going to make way more than you would in a private contract. All that money is coming from us. If everything was fair and equitable and you got rid of all the bullshit that we don't need, I think if the entire world paid 10 or 15% tax total and that's it, and then kept all the rest, we'd still have everything we needed and then some. We don't need to be paying what we need to be paying. It's ridiculous. It's just, like you said, it's one of the many layers of control and bullshit to keep us small and in this state of fear and please, I need help, and need reliance on these systems and all this other bullshit. So
I wanted to ask you guys, I've noticed this trend, especially like on YouTube and stuff, where these people are coming out and talking about this next great economic crash that's happening. And they are saying it's inevitable and like there's going to be hyperinflation and all that stuff. So I just wanted to hear if you guys had any thoughts on that.
The financial system was trashed back in 2008, 2010 with the credit crisis. Nobody went to jail. They reprinted money. These things called derivatives or credit default swaps or whatever. I now heard that it's a $70 trillion industry. And it's basically all paper that doesn't exist because it's not based on it. A credit default swap is, well, in the movies or whatever, it was like, I'm betting against the mortgage market. And he basically bought all this money in and made this thing that didn't even exist, that was a bunch of crap, all built off a bunch of crap mortgages, because he found out that the mortgages were all crap, and then bet against the system. And that's what we're doing right now. We're betting against the system, right? There's so much stuff that's going on right now. So there needs to be a currency reset back to a gold standard, and all those things have to be eaten up. And there's a lot of really dark people that don't want it because they just make massive amounts of money by taking pensioners out of their retirement savings and 401ks and all this kind of stuff. So what has to happen is all the gold and all the stuff that was stolen away and hidden is being brought back, and it's going to reset the financial system to there'll be an ounce of gold per however many dollars, and they're going to have to prove that that ounce of gold exists somewhere. That stopped like 50 years ago or something. I was even told that the Federal Reserve, or what do you call it, Fort Knox, was empty when Trump came into office. All that money had been siphoned away and hidden, and people made
stay
money.
with Canada. Harper sold our last bunch of gold at the end of his term 10 years ago. So
Okay, exactly. So
yeah, all of our currency has been based on nothing. So
and I don't know if people knew this, but in Canada, I don't know how it is in the US, they spent more than the federal budget on the CURB and the support initiatives. So they printed money to give to people so that they could live through this thing. And it was more than the budget was even possible. So where did they get the money from? What did they print it from? How did it end up on their bank accounts? Same question for the US, right? So what is meant to happen, in my understanding, is this event called GESARA, Global Economic Reset, is basically what it is. And all the money will go into a quantum computer called the quantum financial system. And every dollar that's in that system will be mapped to a piece of gold or silver somewhere. And there's huge evidence that this is happening already, because there's been a huge, you remember the GameStop thing that happened a few months ago, and they took advantage of all these assholes that were shorting it and stuff like that. Well, the exact same thing's happening with the silver and gold market right now. So there was a huge call on the 28th, and then there's another huge one that's happening today, where the silver market has been radically undervalued, and people went and figured out that this was happening. So they started buying up a whole bunch of silver, and they've made a huge shortage in the market, but they've kept the price the same, which is impossible because supply and demand says the price will go up. You can't buy a lot of large bulk silver anymore because this has happened, and it's overexposing the people that are lying and shorting things. And it's going to make it so that, well, there's going to be a point where the banking system will collapse. It'll just, like the credit crisis, there's nobody left to bail it out, and they're going to correct it 100%. And the systems have already been set up. Everybody's money is all secure. There's nothing to worry about. You're not going to lose all your money. It's just the system that it was carried in was so deeply affected by the darkness that that it can't continue to exist. And they couldn't fix it back in 2008, and they just basically let it continue, and it's got out of control. So, but it's basically a lot of really, really rich people just getting more and more and more rich off of people's retirement savings and life savings, and there's no good in any of it unless you're a trillionaire and want to see people suffer. So
yeah, I kind of see and agree with a lot of that similar ways, but one thing that a lot of people have to be careful with their beliefs in those systems is that kind of stuff like GESARA or a global reset is going to save them, and that is a very dangerous attitude to have. We need to be in control of this. So whatever is going to happen isn't going to save us. It's going to happen because we as a collective will raise our vibration high enough to warrant that happening, because that's going to mirror the vibration that we're holding and putting out into the universe. So for us to get to where we need to get, we need to do the inner and energy work ourselves on each person, so that we can reflect out positive energies, and then all that kind of stuff is going to happen. Because I can guarantee you things like GESARA and all this other stuff, global reset, will never happen unless we're ready. And that's one thing people need to let go of the fear, because that's the darkness. Oh, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. Great, it's going to happen, but it's not going to happen until we're ready. So you have nothing to be afraid of. We can just continue on this road in this floaty nothing zone where it's almost going to happen. It's almost going to happen, but it'll never. It'll just keep floating there. It'll stay that way until we're ready, because everything outside of us is a reflection of our inner world. So I try not to pay much attention to how all that's going to unfold. I would rather spend my time on raising my vibration and talking to other people and helping them raise their vibration. Do your inner work, and then let the outside world just do whatever it's going to do. It'll reflect what's inside of us as a collective, and it'll all be good. So there's no need to fear. There's no need to have that savior victim complex. Like, just let it all go and focus on yourself, and let whatever happens happen.
With some of that stuff, because it's all about doing and just staying in high vibration, like you said. But it's going to happen. Of
course, but that's the 4D that's in you still, Paul. You're still wanting to go out there and do stuff and physically change things, and you don't realize that if you raise yourself up to the 5D mindset, where you can actually control things by putting out the right vibration, all that stuff will just happen on its own by other people feel the need and the call to do it. But that's not our position. We need to take a higher level of manifesting of the collective instead of waiting for these things to happen.
And that's what we're doing. That's what we're talking about here. But to say it's not going to happen if you get involved, no, there's a plan, and we just have to get on, and we have to surrender into what's already planned. It's not going on marching on Parliament and assaulting a bunch of politicians or whatever. It's about, because it's so deep, it's so ingrained, that we're rising past it and saying this isn't a world where any of those things can exist. And then those leaders, those people, all the structure that needs to make it happen is grounded and ready to show up.
Right, exactly. And it'll change because those people will feel called to, but the people that are in 5D that are manifesting and changing need to stay up there and don't get pulled down into that stuff.
I was just going to say, this week, I've been just making affirmations of what a beautiful world we live in. Like, what is all of this prosperity going on? Like, this is amazing. We're all abundant. I've literally been saying it out loud and looking into the sky and just like starting the week that way and just envisioning this cool new place that is heaven on earth.
Absolutely.
Awesome. That's a great way to do it. Positive affirmations create so much good energy. Thank you for doing that, Anya.
Thank you.
Yesterday, quick note, I shared a video just talking about this message of this message I got where I'm like, I shouldn't even be talking about vaccines and masks anymore and just loving whatever it is. And I said that message during the morning time, and I went to do an errand and I got home. And my parents were in the room together on looking something on a computer. So I just went to check in with them. And I was like, what are you guys up to? And my mom was like, just looking at some vaccine sites. And so I didn't even react this time. I was like, okay, cool. Just turned around. I was like, interesting play, universe.
It called you.
Dude, and I was like, all right, great. I'm just going to surrender to all of this.
Well, if any of you guys, when you go out in public, see the people that are completely in cognitive dissonance. We're driving down the road this morning, and all of a sudden this big 25-ton truck decides to do a 3-point turn in the middle of a major roadway. He must have looked behind, didn't think there was anybody there, and then we immediately have to stop while this truck is blocking the whole road, and you just want to like honk or whatever. But that was completely normal in his mind. If there was a cop there, I'm sure he would have got a ticket. There could have been a massive accident. I see that all the time where people are just not aware of anything that's going on around them. We sat down at a restaurant, and this guy came over and he looked extremely annoyed that we were sitting. It must have been in his spot, and these vibes were coming like, what the fuck are you doing in my space? Because he couldn't compute the fact that somebody else had sat there, but he wasn't sitting there. He was at the front. But you could just feel it. And my son's like, oh, I'm personally affronted. I'm like, I felt that energy, but we sat here first. Live with it, buddy. So do you feel stuff like that? Any examples? Because other people are probably feeling them.
No.
I get stuff like that when I'm driving with cars all the time. They do all kinds of random retarded stuff that used to piss me off, and I'm just like, shake my head. I'm just like, wow, whatever. It's just another wonderfully absurd thing in this transition that humanity is going through. Sit there and wait and continue on with my day.
I have to shoulder check 5 times after my accident where some guy backed into me. It's just like, am I really sure? Because the 3rd time you'll check, somebody will all of a sudden be there, and you'll just like, thank God I did that extra shoulder check, because they're just like coming out.
Yeah.
So
we need to get you some crystals for your car.
Yeah, no kidding.
My energy will handle it. Crystals can be
some black tourmaline on your bumpers and stuff. Keep all that shit away from you.
Yeah, or maybe the car's just made out of black tourmaline on the outside, so it's like
there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
Put it in the paint and spray all the cars.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You know, something like that. Sage it before you go. Cool. What else is going on? What else is present? What's stuff that's kind of weird? We'll do a short one. We'll do 1 hour today, but we got about 10 minutes to fill. So anything else you want to talk about on stuff that's going down, or I'll let you guys think about it, or do you have something on you? Or?
Something that I've also gotten this week is to just appreciate where I am right now and just stop scrambling to get to this next destination point and to just really appreciate it. And I had this conversation with myself and I was like, Anya, like you're not going to get these kinds of moments back. And yeah, maybe those past few years of experience, you want to go back to them. But right now, it's like, when else are you going to have this experience living with your parents and like, having all this great food and just like being able to paint all day and like all of that other stuff and like this nice silence and like safe space. And so I thought about that. I was like, you know what, you're right, Anya, other Anya, like that was giving me the message. And I've just been in that space just like super appreciative and not even like trying to change anything.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm in the same place because a part of me is agitated about being here, but then there's the other part of me that's like, no, like you're in the country, you're on this beautiful lake house in the country where they live, and it's so nice here. There's so many things to do. Focus on where you're being. And he always reminds me, you never know when you're going to come back here, because remember, these were the same people I came to, and I saw them in October. And then they're like, okay, well, we'll see you at Christmas. But then I wasn't allowed at Christmas. I was banned because I was a crazy conspiracy theorist. And then here I am again on 3 weeks in March. And now I'm leaving on Easter. And I don't know if I'm going to be allowed back again. We'll see. It all depends on what's supposed to happen, right? So I'm enjoying every moment while I have it.
Yeah.
You got to clean up all those crazy family...
all the leftover old wounds and stuff. And practicing being my authentic self. Instead of saying what they want to hear, saying how I actually feel, right? Which is a hard thing to do with your parents and around other awoken people, because innately before what you say, they're not going to want to say it. But when you say it and you're doing it from that place of love and you're living in your 5/5 density mindset, there's no backlash, there's no anger, there's nothing like you would expect if you had said those things before, because you were emanating a different energy. So what comes back into you is different. So I've seen that whole as within, so without is absolutely true, because I'll say the same thing. If I had said it 2 years ago, they would have got pissed off and mad, and it would have been horrible. But
another thing that came up for me is I always had this, I was going to do a video on it, but I always had this thing with skinniness, and like it would be just like this dramatic thing. Like my mom's friends would always comment on my weight. Like I would just be minding my business and like, oh my God, you're so skinny. Like, do you eat enough? Like, what do you eat? And it would just become this conundrum. I remember or some of the group of friends they had, like they would tell her that she's a poor mother, and then it would be this whole cascade of drama happening and then making me feel inadequate and having to go to all these goddamn nutritionists. And I still have it from time to time today, where these like Russian women, I guess, because that's what I'm surrounded by, like will comment on my fucking weight. But it used to be such a trigger for me. But like I went yesterday to get my eyebrows done, and the lady was like, did you get even skinnier? And I was just like, it's gonna be okay. But like I decided that the next time this happens, I'm just gonna draw a boundary and just be like, does it bother you? And like, close it out, because I feel like it's still following me. So that's my story.
It's them loving you. It's just they don't think that skinniness is healthy, and that culture wants to fatten you up and wants you to have some skin on your bones and all that kind of stuff, right? So they're just living the traumas of their moms put on them, and
yes,
right. So
you just have to keep speaking your mind, and if they say something, you say something back to them, but say it from that place of love and just stand your ground and enforce your boundaries, and it'll stop happening, because it'd be like, whoa, okay, universe doesn't need to test you anymore. She's standing her own. She's gonna, if you throw something at her, she's gonna throw it back at you. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what happens. That's what you're supposed to do.
But isn't it, here's the 5D perspective, isn't it, there's still something in you that's not okay with being skinny?
Exactly.
Well, that's exactly why it's happening. Exactly. That's why she needs to stand up and defend herself and accept that, and it'll all work out.
I like skinny women. It's good. And there's a lot of people that'll say that, right? And there's nothing bad with that.
Yeah.
Is good. Like, I don't know. It's just.
Yep. Hey, I'd be all over your Kool-Aid if I was in the Los Angeles area. So don't even think about that.
Thank you. Don't even think about it.
Okay, so you're desired. It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, you
I don't
have
see
to
anything
find the
wrong,
self-acceptance
so,
within, and it'll all go away, like Paul said. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. One other thing that I need people to understand, or that's been important, is awakening is a full-time job. It is 9 to 5 every day. Sometimes
more than 9 to 5.
Well, exactly, but just drilling you into the ground, sometimes smashing you wide open, tearing your chest open of different things that hurt, and you're angry because somebody did this thing and you don't even know what the root of it is, and you're just sitting there seething sometimes, because, and when you feel that depth of energy, it can be hard on your body. It can make you ache and pain and hurt, and your jaw's tight and your chest is tight and you can't breathe, and it makes you feel like you're dying. That's the stuff that's part of awakening. And if anybody wants to tell you that you're a slack ass or you're living off your parents or whatever, no, awakening is a full-time job. We didn't get these smiles, we didn't get these bright, happy faces and eyes over ignoring it, running away from it, putting ourselves into a job that really is just sucking our soul. We've been through those. We've made choices, and people may not understand it, but we're not destitute. The universe finds ways to give us enough money and enough support to give us these open times. And March has been a very open time for people to just get pummeled and just need to breathe and relax and allow and be. No doing, no chasing, no gonna fix it, no gonna rally or whatever. It's just be, and that energy comes through you, and we're anchoring it. Like Patrick says, we're sitting there and saying, okay, fuck, this is what I want, and I'm not putting up with that shit anymore. But it's not fighting it. It's just like, this, where it is. This is the energy. And we take that energy, and then it goes out into the world, and it gets amplified multi times. But people, by them making choices, become the anchor of new possibility. Everything we talk about is a new possibility. It may grate on people. It may be weird or different or what the hell, but it's a new possibility, and it's working for us. And so before you judge and say, okay, that's bad, or that doesn't feel good inside of me, how do we look? Are we happy? Are we sitting here going, I'm a victim and this is the government, COVID? No. It's like, we see all this stuff. We did the research, we understood, and we know it's all breaking apart. And it can't stay. We see them. The darkness can't stay in the light, and we're shining our light so fucking hot and awesome to those places that it just dissolves. And they're going to trip on their tongue, and they're going to say something wrong, and they're going to get caught out in the news, and they're going to pay for it, and all those things, just by us shining and just making sure that people are aware. We're not trying to hurt people or put them down or say their ways wrong or whatever. That we just want awareness. This is all awareness. Did you notice that your government officials, I had to go and see my Minister of Parliament helping Nortel through this stuff. And I went to him, and he says, I support you 100%, but he says, I can't help you because my party leader needs the bank's backing. And if I were to change this bankruptcy stuff to favor old people and employees, we would lose our backing in the next election, is what he said to my face. And it was like, yeah, I'm there, but it's really important that we get into the next election. So fuck whoever is there.
So fuck you guys. I'm going to back the people that pay for me. That's why it's a corporocracy.
All three parties are in the same boat. The NDP party in Canada and the Conservative or the Liberals or whatever, they're all just us divided.
They're all just corporate owned.
Exactly.
Shills.
So we're changing. The new world's coming. We're going into Easter. We're going to the resurrection of Jesus. You don't have to be Catholic to believe all this. It's a story everybody's heard. But there's a lot of really good energies going on. Some new growth and new beginnings. And that's what Easter Sunday is all about, right? The resurrection and that light of Christ and that Christed consciousness going into all of us and people's eyes opening. I really think some massive stuff is coming, and that symbolism isn't lost on us. And I know guys like Trump and others have been talking about all that symbolism and biblical prophecies and other things. So I really think some cool stuff is going to start to show up. So if you're suffering, reach out. There's no reason to suffer. If you don't know what's going on, talk to us. There's a whole bunch of space underneath this video where you can share and find supportive people. This is not meant to be gone through all by yourself if it's that hard.
You can look up any one of three of us or anybody else that's out there. Just drop them a message and see what they can do for you.
And there's lots more information. There's an energetic survival guide. If you go to livingyourlight.net, I'll put it in the comments, livingyourlight.net, right at the top of the page. There's an energetic survival guide. It's a 3-page document that tells you how to work with energy and clear crystals and breathe and ground. There's a video with Anya and Patrick and I talking about what works for us, dancing and grounding and walking around in the grass. Go there. And then if you need help and those things don't work, there's a page, the thing that says get help. Go look at those things. Any of those things is exactly what God's offering you to help you as or source. We're putting it out there the best we can. We want to help people, and we don't want to see people suffer. And that's the whole purpose of all of these videos and all this kind of stuff, is get people into new perspectives so they don't suffer. Not about us making money or tons of money or whatever. It's just like, if you can't figure it out with all this free information that we're sharing, we're not holding anything back, then we're there to help. We can sit down one-on-one and break down your thing that's killing you and making you angry and whatever. And that's a process. Sometimes you need that. It's all hidden in your shadow. So there's 3 loving people here that are more than willing to do whatever we can to help you find a better way. So I thank you all for your presence, and thank everybody that joined in. I see Jackie's made some comments. Thank you, Jackie Atwell. Yeah, come back. There's lots of information we can also talk about. Give us some ideas for concepts. I'm going to start doing some ones, Patrick and Anya may join in, but around my awakening through sexuality stuff as well. And we'll get you links to all that kind of stuff. And if that's something that calls to you and there's shame and guilt, we're going to talk you through all that stuff too. So loving you all and hoping you have a smooth ride and a beautiful Easter portal, and ride it, shine, sleep in lots,
enjoy it. And just remember, the most important thing, just whatever's going on in the outside world is a reflection of the inner energy of the whole collective. Honestly, if you want to change the world, you change yourself, because then, as I said earlier about how everybody's at the different stages, the more people that go within and do all that inner work, then there's other people that will be pulled up and then will do the work, like Paul says, that will feel called to go and physically change it. It's all connected. But if you want to have that happen, unless you're one of those people that feel called to go and do that, great, that's your journey. But everybody else, do your inner work, focus on it, move the energy of the collective up, and all that stuff will just happen, because there'll be all the other people that feel called to do it. So, and
just talk about it. Don't hide it in the shadow. If it's something that feels wrong or something's weird or something's off, just talk about it. And that's bringing light to it, because stuff that's in your heart that you never talk about will never get discussed and may never get released. So express it, express the energy, move it, start to shift. That's the whole process. Sometimes it's just a great conversation with a bunch of people you trust that'll get you through anything. So cool. Thank you all. I appreciate your time and wish you both a happy Easter, and to everybody else on here, an amazing Easter as well. So
all right.
You.
Have a great day, everyone.
take it easy.
Bye.